In economics, we use models to represent and simplify the very complicated world in which we live. Economic demand is one such model. Its simplest form is all about how we respond to the fact that there are many things we want to buy, but typically we have a limited budget or income. But the things we'd like have in total a cost greater than our budget, so we're forced to make choices based on the prices of each good or service and our wants. These choices we call economic demand. The choice is whether for more or less gasoline, going to the movies, or eating out. This is the essence of economic demand. Most simply, it is, given the price of a good, how much we choose to buy. Economic demand is the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity that is purchased. So that's a relationship between price and quantity. The price of a good and the quantity purchased. Think of this as gasoline, and this must mean in a given period of time, perhaps your purchases per week or per month. So in a given period of time. Economic demand is commonly shown as a table, an equation, or a graph. Illustrating it first as a table or schedule, we would start with price and quantity. Going to our example of the demand for gasoline, the price is given in dollars per gallon. The quantity would be, for example, gallons per week. And we might consider what would happen if a household had a price of $2 per gallon that they were faced with at the gas stations around them. Perhaps this household would buy 10 gallons per week. If the price were instead $4 per gallon, this household might buy 8 gallons per week. And if the price were up at $6 per gallon, it might only be 5 gallons per week. We could illustrate a similar economic demand using an equation instead of a schedule. An example of an equation might be that the quantity that they choose to buy is equal to 12 gallons minus 2 times the price in dollars. So this is a similar, though not exactly the same, economic demand. And finally, even more commonly perhaps than a schedule or an equation, is that we work with a graph illustrating this economic demand. So again, we're going to use a price axis and a quantity axis. On the quantity axis, we'll again have the gallons per week. And on the price axis, we're going to have the dollars per gallon. Price goes from, say, $2 up to $6. So we can show that on the graph, $6, $4, and $2 per gallon. And let's let the quantity per week that is purchased go up to 10 gallons per week and down to 5 gallons per week. And we'll start with 0 gallons per week on the axis. Now we can label from the schedule exactly what this household might choose to purchase. If the price is $2 per gallon, then this household would choose to purchase 10 gallons per week. If instead the price were $4 per gallon, then we go over to 8 gallons per week, and that would be the choice. And at $6 per gallon, this household would choose to purchase just 5 gallons per week. We often show this as connected right through the points, and we label this with a D for economic demand. Now that we've drawn a demand curve, we can interpret it this way. We can look and say, let's suppose we have a price of $2 a gallon for gas. We can take that directly over to the demand curve, and that will indicate that the quantity that would be purchased at $2 would be 10 gallons per week. It's important to keep in mind that this simple definition implicitly includes assumptions about other factors. Your income, for example, or the kind of car you have, or how far from work and play you live. For all these complications, we simply say ceteris paribus to indicate that we're holding all of these things constant or the same. Ceteris paribus meaning everything else equal. So remember, when we draw a demand curve for gasoline, we are assuming income is held constant, as well as the price of cars and repairs and everything else, except the price of gas. Ceteris paribus. While I've illustrated and described economic demand by a single person, or maybe for a household, we often talk about demand for an entire market. For example, market demand could refer to all of Albany County, or New York State, or the Mid-Atlantic region. Remember, economic demand isn't something you can go see somewhere, it's a model which helps us simplify and make sense of millions of past and potential decisions. Economic demand, an example of a model.